Good morning, grade 7s. Welcome to part 2 of lesson 12. In this lesson, we are going to go on with this topic. We're going to speak about surface area, and this can be found on page 130. So in the previous lesson, we discussed types of 3D objects, and we know that 3D objects have 3 dimensions. They've got length, width, and height. Now, when we talk about surface area, the name itself explains what it is. So it's basically if you have your 3D object, so here I've got my rectangular prism or my cuboid. If we worked out the area of all of these faces on this shape and we added it together, we would get the surface area of the shape. So the surface area is the total area of all the faces of a 3D object added together. We measure surface area in millimeters squared, centimeters squared, meters squared, and kilometers squared. The reason we're squaring these units is because we are using area. Okay, so if we look in the table, we've got our two main shapes that we're going to work with. We're going to work with a cube and a rectangular prism, otherwise known as a cuboid. So with a cube, we know that all the faces are squares, so all the lengths, all the breadths, the heights of the cube are exactly the same. So if I said you've got a cube and I said the length is 5 centimeters, we know that no matter which edge we measure on the cube, it would always be 5 centimeters. So this I represented by the letter L, and that refers to length. Now to work out the surface area, if you think of a square, okay, to work out the area of a square, you would say length times length, right? That's the area of one square. Now on a cube, because there's 6 faces and they're all identical, they're all exactly the same, we just have to say that it's 6 times length times length. So if we know the area of one face and we multiply it by 6, we've got the surface area of a cube. Right, the next one is a rectangular prism. Like I said, rectangular prisms have length, width, and height. So they've got 3 different dimensions. Again, we've got a formula. So if you look at a rectangular prism, if I grab mine here, the end face on this side and the end face on this side would be exactly the same. So if we work out the area of 1, we can just multiply it by 2 and we get these 2 areas. Then the one on top and the one on the bottom are the same. So we can work out the area of one of them and multiply it by 2. Same with the front and the back face. They're the same size. Work out the area of 1. We can multiply it by 2 to get our area of both faces. Then we add all of those amounts together and we get our surface area. So what I did here, I gave you a formula. So L represents length, W represents width, and H represents height. So the first one, we're going to, like I said, there's 2 of the same faces, length times width. So we're working out the bottom and the top face. We're adding it to 2 times the length times the height. So we're working out these 2 faces. Then we're adding it to 2 times width times height, so the front and the back. So this formula basically includes all the faces on the rectangular prism, and then we can work out the surface area straight away. So let's apply these formulas to some examples. So example 1 says a rectangular prism has dimensions 5 centimeters by 7 centimeters by 2 centimeters. Calculate the surface area. So when you get a question like this, they've given us the 3 dimensions. You can label any one of them width, any one of them length, and any one of them height. It doesn't matter which one you use. You'll get the same answer. So for this example, I said let's say the width is 5 centimeters, the height is 7, and the length is 2. Now I just substitute into this formula. Step 1 of any type of these questions, make sure you rewrite the formula first. You need to know the formula by heart. Okay, so there I wrote the formula out. Now wherever I see a length, I'm going to put in 2 centimeters. Wherever I see a width, I'm going to put in 5 centimeters and a height 7 centimeters. So that's what I did there. I substituted in the values. Now all I need to do is work out each individual section and add them together. So I said 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times 2 is 20. So if it helps you, let me highlight here. So that first bracket is 20. Then the second one, 2 times 7 is 14, times 2 is 28. And the last one in the brackets, remember brackets always come first. 5 times 7 is 35, times 2 is 70. So they're my three amounts. Add them together and I get 118 centimeters squared. Remember the squared because we are working with area. Then example 2, a cube with sides 12.5 meters. Calculate the surface area. So there's my formula for a cube. Surface area equals 6 times length times length. So I wrote it there. Wherever I see a length, I'm going to substitute in 12.5. Right, then in the bracket, 12.5 times 12.5. Remember when you're multiplying decimals, get rid of the comma and add it back in at the end. If you don't remember how to do that, you need to please go back in your work. So 12.5 times 12.5 is 156.25. We again need to multiply it with the 6 on the outside of the bracket. So we get 937.5 meters squared. Again, we are working in meters. The first one we were working with centimeters, so don't forget your units. Alright, then example 3, I think this is our last example, yes. It says calculate the surface area of the following shape. We need to work out the area of each face of the prism. 2 triangular faces and 3 rectangular faces. Okay, so if we have a look here, here's my shape. It's a triangular prism. Now, surface area is basically you're just working out the area of all the faces and you're adding them together. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got 2 triangular end faces. You know how to work out the area of a triangle. It's half times base times height. And then there are 3 rectangular faces. So we work out each one of those separately because we don't know if they're the same size. And then we add everything together. So surface area, 2 times half times base times height, because we know the end faces are always the same on a prism. So we've got 2 of the same triangular faces. Okay, then we're plussing the one face, which is width times length, plussing the other face, which is height times width, plussing the last face, which is height times length. So this just shows you we've got 3 different faces that we're working with. Right, now we substitute in. So the triangles, half times my base, you can decide whether you want to use 4 or 3, it doesn't matter. Multiply them together. Then the next rectangular face is the the width, which is 11, times the length, which is 5. So 11 times 5. The next face is the one that I worked out on the side over here. So we know the length is still 11 and the height, I'm lying. The width is 11, yes, and the height is 3. So it's 3 times 11. And the last face is the one on the bottom, which was 4 times 11. Sorry guys, just hold on a second for me. I think I've made a little bit of a mistake here. 5 times 11, we've got that. 3 times 11, we've got that. 4 times 11. Sorry guys, I'm going to correct myself over here. This one, the last bracket should be 4 times 11. Please correct that for me. 4 times 11. Okay, now we work out each bracket. So half times 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Times a half, so half of 12 is 6. Times 2 is 12. The next bracket, 11 plus 5 is 55. That's correct. The next bracket, 3 times 11 is 33. That's correct. Now this last one, we just need to fix. 4 times 11 is 44. Okay, now we add them all together. So this answer will also change. So we've got 12 plus 55 plus 33 plus 44. You're welcome to do a sum on the side if you can't do it in your head. So 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So our final answer is 144 centimeters squared, because the measurements were given in centimeters. So guys, please make sure you correct this example for me. I do apologize for the mistake. So basically, main thing to remember with surface area, you're just going to work out the area of all the surfaces on your prism and you're going to add them together.